In an age of legal innovation, balancing financial support for litigation with fairness and transparency remains a critical challenge for legal systems nationwide. All right, so HB 1179 here in Florida, titled the Litigation Investment Safeguards and Transparency Act, regulates litigation financing in Florida, defining terms, prohibiting certain conduct, mandating disclosures, and outlining enforcement measures to ensure fairness and transparency in legal proceedings. For non lawyers, the bill aims to shine a light on litigation financing, where investors fund lawsuits in exchange for a share of the winnings. Let's go. What say you, JD?
Well, all the marketing that's been put out with this bill, from my standpoint, is just complete smoke and mirrors. This happens to be one that I have a pretty solid familiarity with before this bill ever came up. Having been in the construction business since I was 19, general contractor, we had occasions where we should have sued a much larger company. There's two big road that we've done one work for, some of the expansion around, like on the 413, 29 around the road. We should have sued because of the money that they owed us, but didn't pay us. And there's a large out-of-state utility that owes us a bunch of money. All three of them basically said, "Sure, we owe you money. We owe you no doubt. What do you do?" And that's the way we roll. And at the end of the day, all that happens, spend the money to school is good money after that. They'll outspend 100 to 1 just various and end up just wasting more money. This bill, I didn't realize that companies like this existed. And had I known like on those three, because those are all in the last year, they probably total $500,000. I would have taken it or applied to find a penny really only like one company that actually does. The other stuff, they're not a foreign, just a hedge fund. And if I had known that this opportunity was out there, I would have approached to see if they would take pay. Now, when they take the pay, it's non-recourse back to the plaintiff. So, number one, the arguments I've heard the sponsor gets, well, this is just going to lead to much more litigation. That's not true. That's just the opposite. Because with that loan, these people are going to financing company long and hard before they take on it. The only way they ever get in the back is by winning pay. So if anything, they're going to lead to less lawsuits. They're just not out of them, and that they're on that pretty sure they're going to win. So that's side of it is they're from the legislature side trying to get everybody to believe this really comes down to David and Goliath, like being David or Goliath rather, and they don't want us to be able to be in resource equal to plain. That's all it's about. This is another bill that was heavily by the U.S. Chamber. Once again, that's screamed to people as there's no chance of protecting small businesses. When they're in this battle, it's only to protect the biggest businesses in the state. It's like associations. They have no use for like me and my friends our size companies. They're just large businesses. And they just want to know this because they want to know whether or not they're going to settle up front quickly. They don't want to play ball with somebody that has an equal standing as them. They want to just be able to vote them out. And that's all this is. The whole foreign investors, Chinese investors, red herring, as far as I can tell, researching this bill was bouncing around April. It's not the case. The U.S. has they make arguments, oh, the lawsuit was directed by the finance company. Not true. The language in the current contracts already prohibits that. They put in something in there that the finance company can get a larger share of the settlement than the plaintiff. That's none of their business. That's a business negotiation. Me and that company, I intend to hire that. And if I could get 40% of what somebody owes me, not have to spend my money to do it, what do I care if it's 50%? That's just ridiculous. And they don't. That's just not a real argument. They don't care about that. That's just like I say, additional smoke and mirrors to try to make it sound good. This is out of the same sponsor as the hemp bill, basically going to destroy the hemp industry. I don't know why he needs to get a disproportionate share of really bad bills what he does. You can make up your own, but he happens to stick with them. Maybe it's just ironic. But this bill should have never even brought up. It's just a horrible bill, and there was no case.
Right, JD, this goes way above my head. However, when I was researching this particular bill in this particular issue, there were some things that I didn't understand. And one of the main things that I was concerned about was the disclosure requirements and the level of transparency. And I know you've touched upon this, and also the fact that it's similar. It's the same sponsor of this bill as the hemp bill that we discussed. In regards to the disclosure requirements with foreign entities, with the existence of these agreements, has that become one of the main issues that brought this legislation to the forefront?
Well, my understanding is being broader is one of the main in the chamber, or the chamber in the U.S. chamber, lost a bunch of money on the suits that was backed by one of these, and they didn't know it was backed. I'm sure they entered into the figure, they just pushed the little guy, run him over, and work out that way. They're just screaming bloody murder. They want an equal. They don't want an equal field by any chance. They love being disproportional in their field, and they want to keep playing. They just want to squelch you. A lot of these people, especially in the general contracting business, the road building business, a lot of their profit margins are built on what they can basically steal from their subcontractors. And they're most of them, the superintendents and the direct supervisors of the jobs get bonuses on what that job ends up making. And so they have to deal with it too. There's no fear for them. Just like these three, that utility and those two big road builders, one was in Massachusetts, I think one's actually. They know that. Like I said, they were like, yeah, we screwed you. We're not paying you. See you later. There's nothing to do about it. Which is bad because there's two other big builders that we do business with all the time and never have a problem. They never are paying us. They never try to. Our work is based on quantity, so we get paid so much per acre, different quantity measure. They never try to squeeze it. There's never an argument on what they owe us. There's an agreement with them on when we get paid. But then you have the other two that just are the complete opposite, and it just gives a bad taste there. Like I say, I would jump the
Right, that was going to be one of my questions to you. For small business owners like yourself, what's the cautionary tale here? What is it that they should be aware of moving forward?
Well, it's always dangerous in business with a company that can outspend you 100 to 1. That's just always been the basis of that. But if you want to try to do big jobs and you're a subcontractor, you're kind of forced into that position.
Okay.
You're not likely to be doing business, building jobs with the general that you're on. They're going to be much bigger and stronger and financially powerful. And they just destroy subcontractors. Some of these companies I ran into, they just have a tradition of destroying subcontractors. That's just their MO. And they don't want to have equal playing field. That's what this bill or what this finance council is. And like I said, if anything, if we need less litigation, because there's no way that in for a dime, once they start funding these lawsuits, they're almost guaranteed to the end. They can't really back out, have unless some fee comes out that they will. And so once they're in it, they're going to be they're married to it. They have to keep funding it. They're going to look at that part of it before they ever take and commit to funding that lawsuit. So if anything, it's going to lead to less. And the other problem is, depending on which side of the table you're on, how it is with lawsuits. People get emotionally involved. So I may think I have the greatest case in the world. I may have, but when these guys step in, there's no emotion involved in their analysis. It's strictly numbers.
Sure.
They're just running actuarial analysis, just like any other like a life insurance could be, kind of. And so that's the other thing that scares these big industry people that just want to abuse the small business is they know if the company takes on that case, screams that this is a good lawsuit.
Mm-hmm. JD, and you don't have to answer this, but it came to mind as we talked about the hemp legislation, and now we're talking about this litigation financing legislation. After this session, with your proximity to Tallahassee, after this session, do you think Florida is becoming less and less small business friendly?
I do think so to some extent. It's just like early on we spoke about the proposal to do away with real estate property taxes and turn it into sales tax. That just heavily incentivizes people coming here with lots of money. It would save large bills and not spend that much on sales tax, fortunately. And it disincentivizes people that are at the outset. And I think that's just for somehow someone here has made the analysis. We only want rich people into Florida. We don't want people. We only want. Excuse me. We don't want small business. And when that came up one day over there, I thought, well, that's an interesting, concept. But the last time I checked, those people in that $10 mansion that the real estate property are not out there mowing the lawn. They're probably not doing their own. They're probably not cleaning the house. They're not going to be checking themselves out in public. They're still giving themselves food at the restaurant. And so, unless you can figure out how to provide them those services, other than from the opposite lower end of the income spectrum, I don't know how this works long term. You can want to have nothing but rich in your state all you want, but that's a failing system. And as it is, it's already a problem because the people that are providing these lower paid service jobs to the call them rich people, and I'm certainly not against anybody being rich, but those people already can't afford to live in proximity, usually where they're working. They're driving disproportionate amounts of time to get back and forth where they're able to afford to live and where their jobs are at, which means there's a higher portion of their budget money they're in every week. They end up being able to afford cars, having lots of mileage. They have lots of repairs, breakdowns. It just drives further towards poverty, and that just that's just not the way to have a good party. I'm not saying that they should be making money, but you have to have something where people that I expect buy sources from to split my life have to be able to live too.
Okay.
That's just seems like basic common sense. When I was a kid, we had, we produced almost everything that the world needed in the United States.
That's right.
And most of my friends' fathers worked in factories. Their mothers didn't have to work. Their fathers had good blue collar income. They were able to afford to go on vacation. They bought their cars cash. They didn't have to finance them. They paid their houses off. They paid to put their kids through college without loans. They retired. They had the American dream. But like most countries around the world, the middle class just gets squeezed harder and harder and harder, and it's going away. And that just leads to failure.
Right. It seems those days are almost long gone.
That's right. That's right.
My final.
In a multitude of reasons, overregulation caused a lot of business. Unions being big on income caused it to move. People that run the businesses and pay themselves way too big of bonuses that caused the companies to go into financial distress, caused the companies to move out of the country. When you have these guys, they were underfunding pension plans, basically. They would agree to a contract, but then they wouldn't fund those contemporaneously with the worker earning that retirement benefit. So they could overshoot income, and then they'll think, oh, look how much money I made. I deserve a whatever bonus, multi-million-dollar bonus. And then all of a sudden comes time, retirees start getting to the age where they're drawing out of the system, and then they're screaming, "Oh, Murray, oh, legacy costs are killing us. We can't afford it." Well, you could have afforded more if you would have funded those retirement plans.
Sure. Yes.
For every hour those people earned. And that was just basically thievery on the part of people running those companies. So there's multiple reasons why that. You know, and when we come out of World War II, the United States was booming, but part of that was because we destroyed the industrial base around the rest of the world. Germany was an industrial base. We go down. Japan was an industrial base. We initially blockaded them out of the steel they needed. And which is partly what caused them we did a naval blockade, partly what caused them to bomb Pearl Harbor. Then we destroyed their base on the island. So we were the last man standing when it came to big industry. And we enjoyed that for 20, 30 years. And the rest of the world caught up, and we had a problem out. Now we make almost.
I would hope that this legislation, and I'm always in favor of transparency and accountability, and I'm hoping that this legislation doesn't bring unnecessary burdens to litigants. However, with good intentions, sometimes the consequences are different. I guess for my final word and question to you is, do you think this particular bill will find itself in the courts being challenged by businesses or individuals?
Well, I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think it's going anywhere. But from that standpoint, I chuckle a little because one of their arguments, full transparency, full transparency. Like, okay, that's an interesting concept. So, are you in favor if one of the personal injury attorneys who's XYZ company? Does that mean you're in full disclosure from that company on what the economics are of what caused that accident doing, or how much money did you save by doing this or that, or not doing this or that ultimately somehow led to that accident? They don't scream bloody murder to get that information from discovery. They want that protected all along. Oh, you can't to see what I made, what my profit is per widget. You're not entitled to that. So the full disclosure thing to them only depends on what side of the table they're not in favor of disclosure, only when it's
And would the judge have some play in this in determining what is necessary for full disclosure or for disclosure, the appropriate amount of disclosure in particular cases like this?
Not being a lawyer, thank God, I don't know what to do. But
Sorry to put you on the spot like that, JD.
yeah, no, that's okay.
I mean,
Um,
this particular legislation is a lot, for those of us who are not, lawyers or in the legal field, and marginally attached to it through our businesses and things like this. This is a lot to take in.
yeah. For the most part, it gets down to where the judges don't have a lot of latitude stuff. They get kind of locked in. It's like the mandatory minimum. I'm not in favor of that. The judges should have been able to take into account. There should have been sentencing guidelines, which there was,
Right.
but then the judges should have taken into account what was going on and stuff. And there's so many people locked up in the state who are on mandatory minimums that don't deserve 25 years or whatever that was in that case. And even a lot of judges are saying, I don't agree with my hands are tied. The punishment is.
Well, thank you, JD. This was definitely an education, and we'll do some more research and follow this particular legislation and see where it goes as the legislative session ends. I appreciate it. Is there anything in closing you'd like to say?
Fortunately, it ends tomorrow. Today's the 59th day of session. So
Yes, indeed.
pretty quickly, the citizens of the state of Florida can breathe a sigh of relief, and they're safe from being damaged by this legislature for another 11 months, because this year is, maybe it's 13 months, because this year is an election. So.
Exactly. Well, thank you. And thank you to our listeners and our viewers. If you enjoy our content, if you enjoy the information that JD is sharing with us, the ins and out of a lot of this legislation that's going on in the Florida legislative session. We'll be doing a wrap up of the legislative session before the governor signs most of this legislation and after the governor signs this legislation, if he does. So we'll be right back with more analysis of what's happening in Tallahassee and how it affects you.
Again, is that a wrap up or a mop up?
Is that a wrap up or a knock up? You said
or a mop up.
A pop up.
This one wasn't quite as bad as last year. I told a lot of last year was going to go down in the record books as one of the worst legislative years in modern day history in the state of Florida. None of them want to hear me say that, but it is true, and it's going to play itself out.
Well, we really appreciate the insight that you've provided us, and maybe it is a mop up, right? There's
clean up on aisle 4.
There are definitely a couple of bills that I do want to do a deeper dive and see how it plays out in the waning hours of the legislative session. But share, hit the notification button. We have Joel's book coming out. We have the Informer newsletter, our blog, and of course, all of our properties across the Jay and Washington network. We are your political innovators. We are Jay and Washington again. JD, thank you, and we'll see you all the next time.